certain things through life that are just, even if you're a Christian, they are what they are. Then you have chemistry, which I put as separate, the chemistry within your body. There are lots of chemical storms that come and go that are anomalies. They might be related to the autonomic nervous system, the arousal system, and not being able to reset your adrenaline and cortisol. Or they could be things that are related to other hormonal imbalances in your body. It could be your thyroid, other things. But this is the chemistry. And more often, many people gravitate towards this and think that they're not doing well, when it's really their body's not doing well. This internal wiring is not doing well. And conversely, too, I want to go back here. Many times things are okay, but your memories are telling you that you're not okay. And these memories, the meaning of the memories and the feelings are many times in parts of your body that are very difficult to access in order to tell yourself you're really doing okay. Your body wants to tell you that you're not. So there's that. See that a lot in my profession. So essentially, most of our difficulties coming up, and as adults, have to do with breached trust. And ultimately, we do have an enemy of the soul. I've covered that. His name is the devil or Satan. And there's another force, as though this wasn't enough, working against us, that tells us that we're unworthy, or that God is not worthy of our love. And it just, it pulls us into the pride side and gets us to feel, kind of unlicensed and entitled. Or it'll pull us over to the other side, which is the flesh, and you get into self-absorption, pessimistic self-loathing, and I think there might be something else under there. Those are the themes. Shame. Themes filled with shame. You wouldn't know a thing about that, I'm sure. And then here, I just have a little edit on plus or minus degrees of bondage. If you notice this bell curve, understand the bell curve is going to represent the further away you go from emotional regulation and staying in the model, the more diminished your returns are going to be on both sides. You'll see that as this unfolds. Now these are just a few. Let's add a couple more things. You have emotional reserve. This is like your battery. You only have so much. And then you have physical reserve, again, like a battery. You need to know when you're depleted so as not to draw false conclusions on just how severe things are. Many times we're inclined to think of things as being much more severe than what they are, because we're in the genera of my AA friends, they refer to that as halting, hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Halting. That's a good way of thinking about when your body's starting to run your consciousness. Now let's move this around to so that when you're not on your game, which is more often, even as a Christian, I keep saying that. These attitudes, these perceptions, these beliefs, that are based on all of these dynamics and all these things that are going on, we're going to be inclined to draw false conclusions on the why part, especially since we have this amygdala thing going on, which gets us really hyper and, amps up our ability, or should I say, obscures our ability to be able to see things where they really are. Really, if you understood, the amygdala carries memories that go way back, and you have lots of primitive responses that are driven by this fight or flight system that are just so heavily wired into the parts of the brain that carry memory, and then another part of your heart that is connected to the vagal nerve that connects to your heart. And when God said a long time ago that we were going to fall, this is just beginning to scratch the surface of the things that compete against our sanity on the inside. So what do we do when we act out our damages? It's called sin. They're usually driven by fear and insecurity. We're going to either incline to the right, which connects to the car model, and to shame, to what we abdicate rights and privileges. Or one of our favorite defense mechanisms is to be nice and to placate others. That is not a genuine expression of kindness. That is a defense mechanism. We refer to that as manipulation and drama. And then we think of, what's the end game here? Of, living on the shame side of the railroad track, so to speak. We wind up as a reproach to ourselves, everybody else. And we think we're a reproach to God, but then he gets in there and he kind of clears that up. And he loves us as we are. And then he'll pull you out of that funk. That's what I call acting in. We become disempowered. And there are many things that can happen in that state. As I said, this is a bell curve. And so I want you to remember that, there are a number of things, we'll bring this up later, that happen before we get out to the suicidal corner. Conversely, when we are acting out on fear on the pride side, where we refer to this acting character as savage, the other one is slave. They are opposites. This guy goes on shame, this guy goes on pride, but it's all driven by fear and insecurity and control. And so, in the savage mode, we're inclined to disregard other people's rights. Sometimes we think we want to give them good objective feedback when really, that's called being frank, when really it's just another way of controlling other people's lives, except we think we're doing some good. And so, unlike the slave, this one uses passive-aggressive measures to get their needs met. This one uses intimidation drama. So, this guy goes to rage, this guy goes to reproach. Either way, they're extreme forms of responding. They don't learn. We refer to the savage as acting out. These guys over here, they tend to kind of go inside and isolate. These are the kind of guys that over here, what's supposed to happen, over here, that should, do it again, over here, that assume responsibilities and privileges that are not theirs to take. And ultimately, the ultimate expression of that would be to murder somebody. So there it is. That's the human operating system and how it operates. The slave and the savage and the various character traits that are associated with that. And we're going to move up the scale a little bit, look for something except for this little fellow here. Slavage skewer. You're going to learn more about that as we go. Slavage skewer is like a combination of the savage and the slave, but you throw in a rescuer at the same time. It's a really interesting dynamic within ourselves and in our communication patterns with other people. I could begin to break that down for you. Now I'm going to have that on another slide. We're doing this for brevity, and it's still taking a long time. So the right way to do it, I say, if you're really working on the meaning part, what does this mean to me that this guy owes me some money? And you do need the money. You want to have a repertoire. We go too deep into the meaning. That's where we get into trouble. We don't talk to God. So we want to have a repertoire of 3 hot feelings, 3 cold feelings. We want to do a little bit of reflection. We want to get a good sense of what's going on. We've already identified the what. Now we're going to the so what. How does it make me feel? And the deal is, God is there saying, well, son, daughter, tell me, how you're feeling, and he wants to commiserate with us. And it does require some willingness on our part to submit to him, because he probably does have an opinion, but he's not unaware of your soul's needs and wants. That's your meaning. God is very much all about you and all about other people that are in your life. And Jesus said once to his disciples when they said, when did we see you coming to us? And Jesus spoke back to him. He said, well, when I was naked and hungry, when I was in prison or in a hospital, or I was there was a hungry widow. And these are all the times that Jesus comes to us. So there are many things that we need to bring to God and process before we come to our own conclusions about what's going on. We don't know about this guy that has this, might or might not have the money he has. And ultimately, we want to hear from God.